Hello students, welcome to the first lecture on your course Elements of Discrete Mathematics. In this first lecture we are discussing very basic elements of discrete structures. First the introduction, then we'll discuss certain things about sets. The content of this lecture is as follows: the definition, the representation of sets, cardinality of a set, and then what is a power set, and what are the Venn diagrams, set operations, properties of sets, binary and unary operations, and finally the properties of binary operations. So first of all, what is a discrete structure? Basically there are two things. One is the discrete and the second term is the continuous. Discrete means a structure that consists of distinct or unconnected elements or objects is called a discrete structure. And in a continuous structure, we have some connected elements or connected objects. Mathematically, a discrete structure is a mathematical framework that examines and uses finite or discrete mathematical objects. So the fundamental building block for study of mathematics is the set, and a set can be discrete or continuous. The discrete set is of the form, for example, this one set 0 1 3 5 7. So this is a discrete set. Again, this is also a discrete set, 1 2 3 4 5 and so on. This is basically a finite discrete set, and this is an infinite discrete set. Now we have the continuous sets. This closed interval 0 to 1. This is a finite. The endpoints are finite, and this is a continuous set. Why? Because it consists all the real numbers. It consists all the real numbers which lies between 0 and 1, and 0 and 1 also included over here. For example, you see here, suppose this is the real line, and somewhere this is 0 and 1 is here. Then this set means it consists all the numbers in between these two points 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. So it has infinite number of elements. So this is a continuous set because elements are connected. Similarly, this is also a continuous set. It has infinite number of elements. This also have infinite number of elements, but this is an infinite interval. So in this case, it also have infinite number of elements, but it is discrete. Why it is discrete? Because if you are having 1 on the real line, 2 here, 3 here, this set consists only these points 1 2 3 4 and so on so forth. So it consists only these elements. The real numbers between this and this 1 and 2 are missing in this set. Similarly, numbers between 2 and 3 are missing in this set. So that is why this is a discrete set, and in fact it is a discrete infinite set, and this is a finite set and discrete set. So now formally, how we can define a set? A set is a well-defined collection of distinct objects or members, distinct objects or members or elements. And a set can be represented in two ways. One is the roster method, and the roster method means the description of a set by listing the elements enclosed in the braces. For example, we have a set of vowels. So set of vowels can be written. We will write all the vowels of English alphabet enclosed in these curly braces. So this is the representation, and this kind of representation is called the roster method. Similarly, if we have set of primary colors, we know that there are three primary colors: red, blue, and primary red, blue, and I think it's a green. So this is the set of three primary colors. So these are enclosed in the curly braces. So This is also the roster method. So when we write the set in this form, that is called a roster method. Now the set builder method. Set builder form means you are not listing the elements, but mathematically you are writing in this way. The set A consists of those x, and x are taken from the set S such that some property Px is satisfied. Some property Px is satisfied. Or in other words, you can write x, it consists those elements of S. This A consists of those elements of from the set S which are not satisfying this property Px. Now speaking like this seems to be a confusing language here, so it will be better clear in the example. Suppose we have this set 2, 4, 6, 8, 5. Definitely it is having 5 even natural numbers, and this is the roster form. It is represented in roster form. Now you want to represent it in set builder form. So what is the property you should identify over here? The property is that these are the even natural numbers, but these are not all the even natural numbers. There is some range of natural numbers, or you can say integers. So you can write here x consists those n integers such that n is even and n ranges from 2 to 10. In the set you have all the even integers which lies between 2 and 10. So you can also have another representation for the same set, that you write here instead of integer you can write it consists set of natural numbers, and this thing is same, right? So these are the two representation in set builder method for the same set. Now there are some standard sets which have their standard notations. For example, the set of natural numbers can be represented like this: hollow n, we speak it as hollow n, hollow r, hollow q, hollow r minus q. E, the set of even integers, this is set of irrational numbers. Q is the set of rational numbers. R the set of real numbers. Then the subset, here Z is the set of all integers. Now the next concept is the subset. If all elements of a set A are in the set B, then A is said to be a subset of B, and the notation is like this: if A is subset of B, then we write this notation, means A is either contained in B or it may be equal to B. The next definition is cardinality of sets. Cardinality of sets. So what do you understand by the cardinality of a set? Let S be a finite set with n distinct elements where n is greater than or equal to 0. Then cardinality of S is denoted like this. Means it is the number of elements present in a set, in a finite set, is called the cardinality of that set. For example, here A, the set A has 4 elements, therefore cardinality of A equal to 4. This is the notation. Cardinality of A equal to 4. If you have a singleton set, then definitely cardinality of a singleton set is equal to 1. Right? Universal set. Now we want to discuss something about power set. What is a power set? Before defining a power set, you must have a universal set. An arbitrarily chosen but a fixed set is a universal set. And a power set, for any set X, the power set of X written as the notation is P of X is the set of all subsets of X. Means the power set is the set of all subsets of X. For example, if you have X like this, it has 3 elements A, B and C, then power set of X consists all subsets, and all subsets are these. So it has 8 elements. The power set of this set has 8 elements, or you can say the cardinality of Px in this case is 8. Now question arises, if we have a set of n element, if we have a set of n elements, then what is the number of elements in the power set? The answer is simple. Everybody know about it. If the set of we have a set of n element, the number of elements in the power set is equal to 2 raised to power n. But how it happens? You see, in the last example, you can see this is the null set having zero element. Zero element. It has no element from X. Now you are having those subsets which has only one element. Then you are having the subsets which have two elements, and then we have the subset of X which has three elements, and the maximum three elements are there. Now whenever we construct the power set for any set, you have to consider the subsets with zero element, subsets with one element, subsets with two elements, subsets with three elements, and so on and so forth, and finally the subset with n element. That means if we think about the situation how it comes, when you have to choose out of n elements, suppose X is having n element, x1, x2 and xn. First you have to consider those subsets of X which have zero element. So this is out of n elements, it has zero element. The number is given like this, C is combination. Then you have to consider those subsets which have one element. Then you have to consider those subsets which have two elements, and so forth. Finally, you consider those subsets which have n element. So in this way, you have to add all these, because in the last case you have seen the total number of subset is this one having zero element plus this one 3 plus 3 are these 3 3 6 7 and 1 is this, so 8 are total. So in this way you have to add all these. And from the knowledge of permutation and combinations, you know the value of this is 2 raised to power n. That is how you can see that the number of elements in the power set of X, where X has n elements, then number of elements in the power set is 2 raised to power n. Now Venn diagram and the set operations. So first of all, you should know what is a Venn diagram. Venn diagram is nothing but the pictorial representation of a set. Pictorial representation of a set, you can say, of a set. The sets are represented by the enclosed regions and a plane. And the main convention it is followed. The universal set is represented by a rectangular region, and the subsets of the universal sets are represented by circles drawn within the rectangle. For example, if U is the universal set and A is any subset of U, then we represent this like this. So the rectangular region is the universal set, and within this A is subset of A. Now the set operations, if you have the universal set U and A and B are two subsets of U, and let A and B are represented by these two circles within the rectangle, then A union B consists of all the elements of A and B. So the shaded region here represents A union B. Similarly, the intersection is represented by this notation A intersection B, and it consists set of basically this is set of those elements which are present in A and B both, means it consists common elements only. So here shaded region represents the intersection in this Venn diagram. Now the complement of a set. Notation for that: A complement, sometimes we write A bar or sometimes A prime. So A complement AC, the set consists those elements of U which are not in A. So here this shaded region, this is the part consisting elements of A, and the outer part, the shaded one, is that part which consists those elements of U which are not in A. So this shaded part represents the A complement. Now if we have the difference of two sets A minus B, then A minus B means this part. It consists elements of A that are not in B. So this is A minus B. Now what is a Cartesian product? So before understanding the Cartesian product, first you must know what is an ordered pair. What is an ordered pair? This is an important thing. If you have two sets X and Y, and X is an element of X and Y is an element of Y, then an ordered pair is written as X comma Y. Why it is called ordered? Because the first element is from X and the second element is from Y. So order is essential. That is why we are calling it as an ordered pair. Order of element here is an important thing. XY is not necessarily equal to YX. So keep in mind XY is not necessarily equal to YX. It can be equal only in one situation if both are equal. Now the Cartesian product, how you define the Cartesian product? The Cartesian product of two sets X and Y written by X cross Y is the set X cross Y that consists all possible ordered pairs in X cross Y, or all possible ordered pairs of this form where first element is from X and the second element is from the set Y. So this is the ordered pair. For example, for any set X, if I write X cross Phi, so Phi has no element. So in this situation, X cross Phi will be Phi, and also Phi cross X will also be Phi. Now one example, you see, if X has two elements AB and Y has two elements CD, then X cross Y, the ordered pair X cross Y gives these elements, because first you pair A with C and then A with D, so you get these two pairs. Now you pair B with C and B with D, so you get these two pairs. So it gives you X cross Y. In the same manner, you can have Y cross X. Y cross X means first you will consider element of this Y. You will pair C with A and C with B, means C with A and C with B. So CA and CB, these two elements. Then you will be pairing this D with A and D with B. DA is here and DB is here. So obviously here you can note that this X cross Y is not equal to Y cross X. Always keep in mind. So X cross Y, in ordered pair you can see X cross Y is not equal to Y cross X. So order is important. Now certain algebraic properties of the sets. If A, B, C, there are three subsets of a universal set U, then the following algebraic properties holds. First is the commutative property or commutative law. Commutative law is like this: A union B will be equal to B union A. Similarly, A intersection B equal to B intersection A. Associative law required two operations. So here we are considering one is the union operation and another is the intersection operation. So you can see A union B, and also it is not necessary that it required two different operations. It can be with one operation also. You can write A union B union C equal to A union B union C. In the same manner, you can also have A intersection B intersection C will be equal to A intersection B intersection C. So this type of property is called the associative property. You can have one operation, and here the example is given it is described in the form of the two operations union, same thing is there. Okay, same thing is there. We have only one operation. So now idempotent law. Idempotent law means A union A equal to A. Similarly, the A intersection A equal to A. This is idempotent law. Distributive law, yes, actually distributive law required two operations. One is the union and second is the intersection. So union is distributive over intersection, and in the second one, intersection is distributive over union. What does it mean? It means you are keeping this operation here, you are distributing this union A union B, intersection is kept as such. Now you are taking this A union with C, A union C. So the left hand side will definitely be equal to right hand side. Similarly, you can distribute this intersection over union. A intersection B is there, union will be kept as such, and A intersection C. So this is distributive law. Now identity law. Identity law we will check with respect to the both operations union and intersection. A union phi equal to A. It can be checked numerically also. You take one set A and an empty set, definitely after taking the union it will be A, and A intersection phi will be equal to phi. Involution means A complement and again its complement will give you the A itself. Then the De Morgan's law, A union B complement equal to A complement intersection B complement. Similarly B part, A intersection B, the complement of whole will be equal to A complement union B complement. So these are the De Morgan's laws. Then the complement law, A union A complement. A union A complement gives you the whole universal set, and A intersection A complement is equal to phi. So these are the complement laws. Now next is the binary operation. What is a binary operation? A binary operation is nothing on a set, let X be any set, then a binary operation nothing but a mapping F from X cross X to X. Keep in mind, binary means you require a Cartesian product of X with X itself. And finally, the element after applying this function must be in X. So such a function or mapping is called a binary operation. For example, you consider the plus operation over the set of natural numbers. We can write the following function. In place of f, I am writing plus n cross n to n. You are taking two natural numbers plus over, because the Cartesian product consists ordered pairs. The first element should be from n and second from the n. Ordered pair is this. A is natural number, b is natural number. Suppose plus of ab is defined a plus b. A plus b is the usual way of addition. Then definitely the sum of two natural numbers, because a is natural number, b is natural number. So definitely the sum of two natural number is a natural number. So you can say this plus is a binary operation on n. Similarly, you can also say that the multiplication is also a binary operation. You can see if I say that this is dot of AB equal to A dot B, and A dot B, A is natural number, B is natural number. Multiplication of two natural numbers is again a natural number. So multiplication is also a binary operation on the set of natural numbers. Now you can also check the subtraction. Suppose you are having minus of AB equal to, let you write A minus B, then it is not necessary that the difference of two natural number is a natural number. For example, you have 2 minus 5, that is equal to minus 3, and this is not a natural number. So minus, your subtraction is not a binary operation. So multiplication or the star, the multiplication operation is a, as I already explained, you know, it is a binary operation. Subtraction is not a binary operation. Now the unary operation. In unary operation, we have this mapping F. F is called the unary operation if it is from set X to X. So here in the domain there is no order pair. So X to X, remember this is called a unary operation. For example, if I'm having a non-empty set and Px is the power set of X, I am defining this mapping C from Px to Px such that C of A means complement of A. Then definitely this is a unary operation, because if you take any set A from the power set and you take the complement of this A, again it will be an element of Px. So therefore complement is a unary operation. It is not a binary operation. It does not require two operands. In earlier case, a binary equation required two operands, A and B. So here we require only one operand, only one thing. So that is why it is a unary operation. So complement is a unary operation on a power set. The alternate representation, an operation star is said to be a binary operation on a set X if A star B belongs to X, means for all X belong to AB. Means you can say an operation star in general is said to be a binary operation if we apply this operation between two elements of X, the new element is again in X, then you say that it is a binary operation. For example, as I have already explained, Plus is the binary operation. You take any two natural number and you apply the plus operation in between them. Again, you will get a natural number. That means belongs to n. So plus is a binary operation, and multiplication is also a binary operation. Subtraction is not a binary operation. Now, one important thing you can note is a set X is said to be closed under the operation star if star is a binary operation on X. So now some properties, or these are called the algebraic properties of the binary operations. A binary operation or two binary operations can possess none of these or one of these or more than one of the following properties. Now if we consider a binary operation star on a set X. So first we talk about commutative property. On a set X, the commutative property is said to be satisfied if x star y equal to y star x for all xy belongs to X. Then star is said to satisfy the commutative property. Then the associative property. Similarly, if for three elements x, y, z belongs to X, x star bracket y star z equal to x star y bracket star z. If these two are equal, then you say that associative property is satisfied. Now for the distributive property, we require two operations. Suppose one is the operation star, another is operation delta. With two binary operation on X. Then star is said to be distributive over delta. Delta will be kept same and X star is distributed with y and z. X star y, delta, X star z. Then star is said to be distributive over delta. Similarly, we can also talk about the opposite situation. The delta is distributive over star. You put delta over here and star in place of delta. So that is how we can talk about the distributive property. And the fourth one is the identity element for a binary operation star. Let star be a binary operation on a set X, and if there exists an element E in X such that A star E equal to E star A equal to A for all A belongs to X, then E is called the identity element of X with respect to the operation star. So in a set, if some binary operation is defined, then we can have an identity operation with respect to that identity operation. So, but it is not necessary. In certain situations, we cannot have the identity element. For example, the set of natural numbers. If you have the set of natural number and instead of the star operation, I am taking plus operation. So we cannot have the identity element over here, because if you take any natural number, suppose 2 plus what equal to 2. So definitely it should be 0, but 0 is not present in n. So therefore you can say identity with respect to operation plus does not exist in the set of natural numbers. So therefore it is not necessary that if a binary operation is defined on a set, then it must have the identity element. Similarly, the invertible element we can talk about. Let star be the binary operation on X, and if for A belong to X, there exists, this is symbol for there exists a unique element B belongs to X such that A star B equal to B star A equal to identity is the identity element with respect to star. Then B is said to be inverse of A and vice versa. B is said to be inverse of A and A is said to be inverse of B. So if this situation occurs, then we say that inverse of element exists. So one more thing you should keep in your mind, that if identity exists, it is unique for a set, and inverse of each element must be checked, because different element have different inverse element. So broadly you can consult this book, K.H. Roshan, Discrete Mathematics and Applications. for further unsolved problems or more details regarding these topics. Thank you.